โอเคครับ
โอเค okay.
Shall we start?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, hello and welcome everyone. Welcome back to our presentation about 3D multiplayer games using procedural content generation. Okay, let's go. Next slide, please. So a little bit about the recap about what we have kind of proposed last semester. So the game that we wanted to do is that we wanted to create a game that is a first-person shooter roguelike competitive game. Next slide, please. Where the players are kind of pitted, where the players are kind of competed against other players. So they're not cooperating, they're competing against each other, where they have to also collect weapons and upgrade their characters. And in this case, they have to kind of fight the final boss to win the game. So they don't have to actually kill, each other until they all die or something, not something like that. They have to defeat the final boss to actually win the game. So, next slide, please. The selling point of this game is that we try to combine the specialness of roguelike game where it's very chaotic, very random with the competitiveness game. So we wanted to create very kind of chaotic situations where a player have to actually think on their feet and have to kind of adapt to the situation to actually win the game. So now we're going to talk about a little bit about our target audience. So, okay, next slide, please. So in the last semester, our proposal, we used something called Bartle taxonomy to actually kind of get a grasp of what our target player would actually looks like. And in Bartle taxonomy, there are 4 types of player, and the 2 types that we actually chosen for our target player is next slide. We choosing the first type is our killer. So killer is actually very disruptive. They want to kind of compete against other player. They want to disrupt other players' gameplay. And the other type is the achievers. So the achievers wanted to clear objectives, right? They have objectives in mind and they have to clear it. They would want to clear the objectives and want to kind of get through the goal and get through all those rewards. And we also kind of just narrow down the target audience down a little bit. We wanted the target audience to be between 16 and 30 years old. And they also have to be kind of very kind of familiar to at least to some certain degrees with games such as first-person shooter games such as Overwatch or Valorant, and also have a little bit of experience or maybe one of them of like a roguelike game. So maybe first-person shooter or roguelike or both is fine. So these players will have advantage because they will have kind of have a grasp of what the control mechanism would look like, how to use the WASD, something like that, and they will also know, okay, what are the rules that I should follow in order to win the game. And these are kind of the characteristics that we also mentioned in the last presentation. We want the game to be a player to kind of disrupt each other. We want the game to be based on the multiple successive objectives. So they have to follow the objectives that could like lead them into a better chance at winning. They have to be able to strategize, and we want the game to be highly replayable. And we also list some of the non-functional requirements, also you can see in the report as well. But the first one is performance. We want the game to be able to have high frame rates. We want the game to have a low load time, so very, very low loading screen time. We want the game to be secure because this game will require authentication. So we have like a matchmaking. So we wanted the game to be secured, or data that we transferred from the server to the client to be very secure. We want the game to be portable. Portable in this case doesn't mean like, oh, we have to be like in mobile. No, we just wanted the game to be very, very stable in the platform that we have chosen, in this case Windows. And we want the game to be scalable. So in this case, we wanted the game to be able to handle a lot of influx of player, and we want the game to be has high usability, so the game could be understand quite easily and get a grasp of how to play quite easily.
And in the term of game progressions, next slide. In each round, players get to go through these 4 main phases, namely the starting point, which is where the players start to explore the map. And in the upgrade and grinding part, player will start to kill monster and level up, while while doing so, they might also collect elemental shards to upgrade their guns. And next is fighting the mini boss. After they defeat the mini boss, the mini boss will drop keys to be able to unlock the fight with the final boss. And as for our long-term,
I think somehow he's cut out. He's cut off. Maybe I'm not sure if he knows, but he should, I think. I think he's cut off. Maybe electricity on off, something. Maybe you can, well, okay. Is he back? No, he's not.
Do you want me to try to continue the presentation? Maybe I can try to do that. Okay.
Yeah,
So
you continue.
okay, I'll try. So can you go back to the slide, please?
I think it's probably a blackout at his house.
Yeah. Not the best timing. Yeah. Can you go back to the slide, please? I don't think I see the slide right now. Which slide? Wait. Okay. So yeah, I think he mentioned about the progression of the game, right? We have a start phase, so the players spawn, and yeah, I think we've talked about that, right? Yeah, I think we should go. So in terms of the longer term progression of the game, so after the player have win the game, they will also earn the rewards. They will also use that reward maybe as like a currency. They'll be able to use them as like skin and cosmetics. They'll be to buy new characters. Maybe they will also be able to gain like the achievement in which they could also claim some rewards, which also can kind of like the currency system would kind of just work in and of itself. Can we go on next slide, please? However, due to a lot of constraints and due to like time and people and a lot and like expertise, something like that, these are long-term implementation are not actually implemented. We want to focus on the game and the gameplay loop instead. So while we try to kind of like come up with like the idea of how we wanted to implement this. For example, I think I have like the kind of implementation of the achievement system in mind as well. It was not really implemented because it would already like for the time frame that we had, it would be too much. Okay, so the uniqueness and selling point of the game. So as I have mentioned, the first one is the genre combinations of roguelike and competitive, and I'll go to the next slide. I already mentioned this. Okay. So one of the things that we try to do is that we try to pick up the theme of actually old Thai temple. Actually, the storyline itself, the kind of like the area itself, are actually based and kind of taken inspiration from Ramakian or Ramanaya, if you have heard of one. Oh, I think he's back.
okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
It was stormy outside. Okay. Yeah. Theme.
You can continue from this slide
Okay.
if you want.
So the theme of our game is Ramakian. Ramakian is one of Thailand's national epics. It is a Thai version of ancient Indian epics called Ramayana. So our game's lore took inspiration from Ramakian, and our game's visual design is also based on the drawing of tales in Wat Praga as well. There are already a lot of games that base their stories and themes on tales, legends, or writings. Some examples include Outer Q, being inspired from Dante's Inferno, Hades, drawing inspiration from Greek mythology, and Terraria, which incorporates the elements of Cthulhu from H.P. Lovecraft. Next slide. And since Armageddon is quite well known in Thailand, we decided to base our game on it. The theme is not well discovered in the game media yet, so this will contribute to our project uniqueness. And that is how the theme of Armageddon becomes our selling point.
Okay, so next I'm going to talk about key bindings of our games. Yeah, so the player can use WASD to like move around. They can use spacebar to jump, use shift to dash. They can left click, use mouse left click to shoot. And these are the like new buttons that we added from the last time. So you can press 1, 2, 3 to switch between weapons. We can click E to activate a skill, G to drop the weapon, F to interact with interactable items in the map, T to open the skill card panel to like choose the skill card, which I will be talking next, and tap to open the inventory and player stats. So this is how the weapon slot looks like. So you can like press 1, 2, T to choose between your weapons. Yes, how skill card panel looks like. And these are the inventory and player stats panel. The left side shows the status of the player and the right side shows the inventory, which shows the number or amount of the item player have been collected in that match. Okay, next gameplay mechanic. The first mechanic I want to mention is a level system. The players can earn EXP by defeating enemies, and each defeated enemies give players a specific amount of EXP based on its level. When players accumulate enough XP to reach the next level threshold, they will automatically level up. So the leveling up gives the players a stat boost and gaining 1 skill card point. And the XP threshold required for each level will increase every time the player level up. The next skill card system. The player gains skill card point from leveling up. When player have 1 or more skill card point, they can access the skill card panel by pressing on the button T on the keyboard. The skill card screen displays 3 randomly selected cards from the available card pool. The player can choose 1 card from the display options by interacting with it, like use left mouse to click on the card to choose the card. Each skill card will offer specific stat boost or enhancement to the players. The skill cards have an initial level of 1 and can be upgraded up to a maximum level of 5. This is the list of the card. Player can choose 1 card from the display options by interacting. Okay, and okay, player can increase the level of skill card by choosing the same card by multiple times. The higher card levels provide stronger boosts or abilities. Once obtained, the skill card will remain permanently with the player throughout the game sessions. Okay, and this is our last mechanic, the gauge system. When the players defeat an enemy, they will gain an amount of gauge based on the enemy's level. If the gauge surpasses a certain point, the gauge rank will be increased. The higher in gauge rank players are when they defeat an enemy, they will receive more EXP. However, the gauge will decrease over time, so the player needs to consistently defeat enemies to maintain the benefits of the gauge rank. Next, we'll move on to the items in our games. So in our games, the items are divided into 2 types, collectible and interactable items. The collectible items are elemental chart and key, and interactable items are elemental totem and boardrooms teleporter. Yeah, so this is our first item, the elemental chart, which is a collectible item. There are resources that allow the players to infuse their weapons with elemental properties. Players can get elemental charts by defeating enemies that have corresponding elemental attributes. For example, defeating an enemy with fire element will drop player a fire chart as a reward. Next, key. The keys are essential items that players must collect to unlock and access the boss room. Players can obtain keys by defeating mini bosses in the map. Each mini boss will drop 1 key as a reward for the player. Next, elemental totems. The totems are spawned in the totem room, which will spawn randomly on the map. Players can interact with the totem to infuse their currently holding weapon with the corresponding elemental attribute. Infusing a weapon with elemental power requires 20 elemental charge corresponding to the desired element. For example, player can spend 20 wind charge to infuse their weapon with a wind element. And this is our last item, the boss room teleporter. The boss room teleporter is spawned in the teleporter room, which is randomly spawned on the map. After players have collected 3 keys, they can interact with the boss room teleporter to teleport them to the boss room to fight with the final boss.
Okay, with the gameplay mechanic done, we are now starting with the technical aspects of the projects. Starting with how PCG or procedural content generation is incorporated into the project. Since the last presentation, we have changed our PCG model from using noise map terrain generation to using rule ties room generation. Our main concept involves the use of metadata to connect rooms together as desired, kind of like piecing together a jigsaw puzzle. This method allows controlled randomization and is flexible enough for many use cases. The metadata of each room is set up in Unity Editor. This metadata includes all aspects of the information regarding each room, from room shapes, door, text, rotation, and connectabilities. And now once all the metadata is ready, the generation process can begin. At this step, it is useful to imagine each room as a pipe connectors. The pipe can be connected as long as the end matches and it doesn't overlap with each other. The more specific details of the generation steps will be in the report. And there are many ways to piece everything together, but doing everything by pure randomization does pose some issues in the generation process. As you can see in this map, the blue X marker is the player spawn point, and the center red crown skull is the endgame destination. By using pure randomization, some players can be a lot closer to the destination than others, giving them huge advantage. So with a more controlled generation, while it is not perfect, the game becomes a little bit more fair. In addition, this implementation possesses high flexibility. The set and the rules of the tiles are highly customizable, allowing a lot of creativity when designing levels. Although it should be noted that with high complexity, it will take longer to set up the metadata. Yeah.
So now we're going to move on to the technical detail of the Unity cloud service that we actually use. So in the previous presentation, we mentioned about reusing a service like Multiplay, which is a online game server hosting service, which as well as Cloud Save, which is an online database with on the Unity Cloud, Matchmaker, which is a matchmaking service again, and Identity Provider, which is an authentication service provided by Unity Cloud. In the architecture that we use, we also use most of these services that are mentioned here, except for Cloud Save, because the implementation of the matchmaking server doesn't require Cloud Save, but still the matchmaking model is still used in the final project. Next slide, please. In the final architecture, we divided the tier into 3 tiers. We have the game client, the game server, and the Unity Cloud Service. Unity Cloud Service we have less control of, and the game server and the game client we actually have full control of. So let's take a look at what it is. The game client is the version of the game that actually built to be played by the player. So in this case, it's a version of the game that is distributed to the player. However, when playing a game, the game clients must be connected to the game server in order to play. But when the playing is not playing, there's no need for the game client to be connected to the game server. The game server is another version of the game that is not playable, but it is designed to be able to host and communicate with each of the client that is connected to it. Usually, the game server is actually hosted on the multiplayer or the game server hosting service on Unity Cloud. And finally, we have the Unity game service itself. The Unity game service, as I mentioned, there's something like multiplayer, which is a game server hosting service, and matchmaker. However, there are also multiple kinds of service as well. For example, Cloud Safe, which is a kind of like the database for the game player data and game data. And also Cloud Code, which is like the ability for you to run code on the cloud, and also other stuff such as authentication, which we'll also use in this project as well. So the Unity service on itself is quite easy to use, but however, we're gonna have to have like build our own services, which would be able to interface with the Unity Cloud, right? We have to build our own services on the game server and the game client to be able to kind of talk with the Unity Cloud service. So in this case, I have created 6 different services. The first one is Cloud Service Manager, which is a kind of like the parent of all these services. So we have 6 of them, right? This one, the Cloud Service Manager, is like they overlook the other 5. So in some cases, we can take a look at, for example, the achievement service, right, or statistic collection service. These service cannot function without authentication. So the Cloud Service Manager actually kind of like act as like the like a kind of orchestrator that allows the initiation to be done at the correct order. And the some of the more important one is of course the authentication service, which is very important because our game authenticates using username and passwords, and of course the matchmaking and game server hosting service, which allows the client and the server to actually be able to use the server which is hosted on Unity Cloud. However, due to the limitation of the time and the people, we only implemented 3 services. Of course, the Cloud Service Manager, which I mentioned about being able to orchestrate other services, and the other 2 is authentication and matchmaking and game server hosting service. So, and on the developer side, the developer must be able kind of build a game server version of the game. Then next slide, please. Then after they have finishing build, they will be able to upload that build onto the Unity Cloud's game server hosting service, which we will be able to kind of host that game server build for them. Now we're gonna take a look at how when we're on the side of a player, how things actually work in the background. When the player actually authenticate with the username and passwords, the authentication service on the game client talks with the player identity or authentication service on the Unity gaming service. Then they will be able to gain the access token, and now the manager, after the authentication finishes, the manager would be able to initiate the matchmaker and multiplayer services, which allows the client to be able to communicate with the game server hosting service on the cloud. Next slide, please. As you can see, when the user actually presses the match find match button or matchmake button, the matchmaking and multiplayer service on the client communicate with the matchmaker service, which is on Unity Cloud. And then when the matchmaker actually finds a match, maybe the game actually finds 4 people, which would be perfect for the player to play with. Then it sends the allocation request to the multiplayer service, which is the actual game server hosting service. And then it would call the allocation into it would allocate like a game server, which now the clients could actually be able to connect to. The benefits of using the cloud is that it increases the benefit of actually using the matchmaking system is that it increase the replayability of the game because it does not rely on the friend system, right? Matchmaking could just, if there's enough player, infinitely find more player and more match for the player to play. So it increases the replayability of the game. And also, since the game requires sensitive data, any data and security sensitive jobs can be offloaded to Unity service, so we don't have to touch anything that is sensitive.
Okay, so next I'm going to talk about the netcode. So I'm going to talk about it shortly. So netcode is library is from a netcode for game object. It's a high level netcode library that allow us to like add networking functionality to our multiplayer games without the need to focus on the protocols about the network. So like we use this library to synchronize between our scenes and our objects in our games between like each players that connect to the same network. Okay. And there's a topology of our game. Our game use client-server topology, which is one of the primary network topologies that netcode for game object supports. So the network topology is basically how clients and hosts and servers like talk or communicate to each other. So you can see that in our network topology, there's like one dedicated servers to run the main simulations and manage all aspects of the game. And the players will connect to the server using a separate client to see and interact with the game. This network topology is suited for our FPS competitive games because like where like how the central server authority is like necessary for minimizing the cheating and the effect of the bad actors.
Okay, now we move on to the usability test. So we also perform a usability test. We selected the groups of people that fall between our criteria. That is, we select people aged between 16 and 30 and have some experience with either FPS or roguelike game. We do usability testing on two of our panels, two of our kind of chunk of our program. In this case, the first one is the main menu, and the second one is the gameplay. So let's move on. So what we do is that in each of the section, for example, in the menu section, the user will be asked to complete a task. Usually, for example, if the task is like in the main menu, right, the task would be something like, oh, go change like the volume in your setting, or go change the mouse sensitivity, or exit the game, or go find a match, something like that. And also we after the test have been finished, we would be using the system usability scale score, which is a score out of 100, and we'll try to get a passing score of 68. Also, when the tester is doing the test, it will be we will try to ask them if they would be able to vocalize their thought out loud. So if they have any opinion, we could hear it and take note of it right away. So the final score of the game itself is that in the menu section, the system usability scale score is the average score is 82.5, which is great, but the gameplay part is not great, so it's 41.25. So it's below average, and it's not it does not pass the goal that we asked for. We also got some of the comments from the players. So next slide, please. Some of the comments on the menu is that there is a lack of, for example, many of the quality of life service you find in many of the settings in the game. For example, the save button or the reset to default button. There are so many unnecessary small places in the settings, and many times there are times where the user and the tester would actually be kind of clicking the wrong button or sliding on the wrong slider because the slider looks so similar. For example, the slider for like mouse sensitivity and like the slider for like the volume, they look very similar, right? So there will be a time where the player or the tester will actually make some error for that, and we've taken note of it. And on the gameplay side, there's a comment on the lack of visual audio cue, visual audio guidance, and visual audio feedback, and also the lack of pause and return menu and unclear status display.
So next is entertainability testing. So after the After we let the participant play the game and do the usability testing, we have another Google form for them to do. Is we use like a scale questionnaire to ask them about their opinion about their agreement. So out of 50, we got an average score about 35, which is okay. So most of them say that the gameplay is actually enjoyable, but the game, the difficulty of the game is quite unbalanced. So we think that we could improve our game by addressing issues related to like balancing difficulty to minimize the fluctuation.
While some of the testing results of the project may seem a little bit off of our expectation, we are glad that we gained a lot of experience from it. We get to learn about a lot of Unity tools for various tasks, including but not limited to using Unity Animator, VFX Graph, Shaded Graph, and Unity Netcode.
For me, the ability to be able to learn something such as Unity Cloud Service allows me to learn a lot of things. For example, Unity Cloud Service allowed me to learn, how do the game are getting deployed? How are they available in so many regions in the world? I think using Unity Cloud Service allows me to learn many of such knowledge, and also design pattern. I think design pattern is what I learned a lot when I was using Unity. Two of the most used design pattern I use when I use Unity is that it are singletons and observer pattern, for example, using subject or behavior subjects, which allows me to code in more efficient way. So yeah.
And outside of Unity, we also learn a lot about external programs like Blender as well. We get to experience firsthand how to model stuff in Blenders and then export it into Unity and use it for full Unity projects.
Okay, so now I will talk about a reflection on our project. During the period of our project, we faced many challenges. Like we solve many problem, but there are some like problem that like are quite challenging for us. So there are these are some of the team's assessment on each aspect of the project. So first thing is about the project management. So while like many aspects of the project management are done well, such as task management and communications, some aspects are like such as risk mitigation and time approximation can be improved. And one of our biggest problem is that there's the file of the Unity that can be like edited by many person at a time. So such as a prefab or scenes that must not be edited by multiple developers. So when we edited the same file at the same time, so it's called a conflict, and it costs a lot of time to solve that. And it could be, we found later that it could be solved by using this version control system that designed specifically for the game development, such as a plastic SEM. And it also be improved with the use of ticketing system, which like allow the only one developers to edit one file. And we also like waste a lot of time on discussing things that were not implemented into the game too, like such as the voice acting, the music, and many things that like we have discussed, which is other but not actually implemented into the game because of the limitation of the time. Next, about the multiplayer, although it's mostly complete, but it's not fully complete because like there are some script that won't work because we think that we lack of experience in working with netcode. So some other script that we like working individually when we merge together and then like run it on the server is it doesn't work. Next, the achievement architecture. So our game actually has a achievement, the achievement for the players, but currently all of the achievements stored in the cloud, which enables the game to dynamically update the achievements. But there are some disadvantages because the system will require its own update system, which is redundant to the game update system, and is cause a massive cost overhead. So in order to improve this system, the achievement checking system should be implemented on the client with a proper anti-cheat system. And about the procedural content generation, so the PCG of our game is that we design is very complex, so it's very hard to use in the developing, and sometimes like we just make a very small mistake, but it's cause us many problems, and it's called like we use a lot of time to solve the problem. So if we could make their PCG like more simple, so it will be better when we develop the game. And the last aspect is the gameplay UI. So because we use more time on on developing the logic and the functionality of the game, so we kind of neglected the UI. So the feedback we got the negative feedback on our gameplay UI, and we didn't like play test our game a lot too. So like we know a lot about the games, and when we like let the others play our games, so they notice that like we don't have enough guide for the new players. But when we play ourselves, we don't know because like we know most content of our game already. So I think like if we do the project next time, we should focus more on the play testing to let the external members or participants to try our game.
And so in this last part, we would like to discuss shortly about what we think should be done if we decided to continue this project. There are four main things. Firstly, is the refactoring of the code so that the code is easier to be developed further on. We would like to clean everything up and takes on the comments and all the negative side of our reflection and then acts upon it. And then we would like to have more alpha testing to know more what user likes and what user needs from our game. And then in terms of assets, after the games becomes more concrete, we would like to add more assets to make it more appealing. But of course, that is after the games become more concrete in both terms of concept and implementation. And lastly, if it's possible, we would like to recruit more people to work on the project after a project gain enough momentum. And that concludes the end of our presentation. Thank you everyone for your attention, and feel free to ask us any question and we will do our best to answer any of them. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, please. Professor Setha.
Oh, is there a demo or a clip of the gameplay that you would like to show us?
We can show you the demo right now. If there isn't like anyone hurry, I think this will take like around 8 to 10 minutes. Is that okay?
Yeah, or you can speed up the clip a little bit.
We don't have the clip, but we do have the play demo that we can show. Maybe we can just like go through it quickly.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I will share my screen now. And that should be fine. Okay. So here, when we started the game, the player will start in this room where there's only one exit, and the player can start to explore the game from this point on. And you can see the minimap on the top left of the screen. The green arrow is a player and the direction that they are facing.
Excuse me, could you
Yes.
start from the beginning? Like if I was to play the game, what do I
yeah.
have to do? I have to download something, install something in my PC,
Uh,
and do
oh,
some
okay.
setting or something.
That's yeah. Thank you for the recommendation. Yeah, I think I should have done that. Yeah. I will start for the main menu then. So to download the game for Windows platform, mostly from like if not from Steam or other like game distribution platform, you can download it from like as a .zip file where you can extract it and then play it.
Okay.
Distribution website that usually done this is like itch.io, which is like mostly for distributing free games and games for testing.
Uh-huh.
And so when the player enter our game, this is the first thing that he or she will see.
Uh-huh.
They will be asked to like either sign up or sign in. If you
Uh-huh.
go to the sign up windows, you can see that there will be an extra confirmation password right here.
Mhm.
But for now, I already have an account, so I will sign in.
And in case the user forget password, is there an option forget password?
No, not currently ครับ
Okay, okay.
Okay, and when the player sign into the game, they will see all these options and find games, achievement, setting, shop, and quit game. This is where the player can set their mouse sensitivity and volume. And achievement and shop is currently not implemented, but you can like kind of like see where it's going to be. And when the player press find game, they will be into the finding match part of the system, where after enough players join in, the games will start.
How many people are needed?
Normally it would be 4, but currently like the matchmaking system is set to 1, so we can just test it with just 1 player.
Okay.
At this point, I think this part is still a little bit bugged out. So we'll be continuing in the in the working part. So in continuation from that, after the player joined the game and the server decided to start the game, the server will try to load the game and the scene and everything to be ready. And after everything is ready, the player will be spawned into the world, and then at that point, the player can start to explore and start the game as they decide.
Okay.
So to continue from that point, the player will spawn in this room and then start to explore, and the enemies will spawn in as they walk around the map. The map is procedurally generated as you can see on the top left of the minimap, that the room are each like split into section. And the white one here is the totem mechanic, where you can like imbue the element into your weapons, but at this point I don't have enough elements to use it yet. It will require 20 shard, and right now I have 0 of the earth shard, so I cannot do that just yet. And this is the mini boss. To fight you like this is the boss that you have to fight to get the keys to unlock the final boss. But at this point I died right now. But it takes 5 seconds to respawn, to kind of like gives a little bit of penalty to the player. So if I were to come in here again, the player cannot attack the mini boss until each of this statue is take down. I mean, all of it is take down. Those are the sign that the statue is starting to attack. Oh, I died again. Okay, and if and also I forgot to mention, but player can also dash around. A dash have cooldowns, but currently it doesn't have any indications. So now there's only one statue left. If I eliminate that one, then I can start to attack on the mini boss. And as you can see, the mini boss guard is down now, and I can now damage it. And after it is like eliminated, I can collect the keys, and now the keys is added to my inventory. And as you may have seen, like there's the text to like allow me to choose skill card by pressing T. Each skill card have like different role as mentioned in the mechanic parts, and you can choose like what effects you would like to get, like increase attack by 5% or increase critical rate by 5%. And I forgot to mention, but as a player get closer to the center, the enemies will get stronger. So they will start as like at level like 1 to 10. This one I have level 9. But as the player goes deeper, the games will start to get harder. And this one is like level 27. This is also the indication to like how close the player is to the center room or the destination. And if the player like go to the destination, they can see that they need 3 keys to activate the boss and go fight the boss. As for the ease of demonstration, I will just cheat my way to get the keys now. I was hoping I'm not going to die, but
Quite
but
difficult.
yeah, it's a little bit difficult, but that is mostly because I haven't like leveled myself up first. I just went straight for the boss. So yeah. Okay, let's try again and try not to get hit this time. Each room have like its own respawn timer, so it won't respawn like right away after the room has been activated. So it becomes a little bit easier. So if we activate the boss, you go into the boss fight, but at this phase we don't have much assets to use right now. So this is the current version that we have. The boss have like mini attack phases, which I think my friend Tawan would be better at explaining it.
So a Tozukan has 2 phases, but currently on the screen it's kind of bugged out right now. So normally one of the attack that Tozukan has is that an AoE, which is there would be like a 5 arrow, which you can see right here, where that actually emits like an AoE, which kind of disallow the player to be able to stand near it unless you have like a unless you kind of shoot the arrow down. But currently my friend is like level 17 compared to Scar level 100. So one attack from him, he's dead.
Oh, okay. Okay, get the picture. I wonder when you get players to test it, what do you ask them to do? The player test.
In terms of the players, it's in the gameplay, right?
Mm.
Normally we ask them, we briefly explain about the mechanic, right? And we kind of just for like the usability test, we briefly explain about the mechanic, and we ask them to interact with, okay, we can upgrade this, but we won't tell them, how do we upgrade this. We just, you look at the map and just try to upgrade your weapon or something like that.
And how long did them play the game before they fill in the questionnaire?
Usually between depending on like the person, I would say between 30 to like an hour is like the like for the full usability test, it will be around like 30 to 1 hour, 30 minutes to 1 hour.
Okay. And how many players did you use for usability test?
For usability, have we use 4 people.
Mm. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, please, Ajahn Angpair, your comment, please.
Okay, all right. Thanks for your very good presentation. The game it's very interesting as well, and I can see you put a lot of effort into it. But I may have a few questions to ask. Okay, I will start with okay, so you have the mini boss and the final boss, right? So, or what are the roles of like these two characters, or what do they do in the game?
In the game, mini boss act like an objective. So in this case, in order to reach the final boss, which the final boss is like the actual final goal of the game, right? You have a match with 4 people, and in order to win that match, you have to beat the final boss, right? But in order to beat the final boss, you cannot just go like into the final boss room right away. You have to win against 3 mini boss, because you have to mini boss will drop a key, and you need the key to actually enter the boss room. So yeah, mini boss actually like kind of like a gateway, kind of like a door before the player could actually not a door, but like a blockade before the play before the player could reach the final boss.
Right. So if I'm getting closer to the final boss, I have a higher chance to win the game, right?
Uh
Kind of like my achievement may be I have gone through like a lot of achievements or like steps in the game, something like this, right?
yes.
Okay. All right. This is also called like game level, right? Level. Like I have to gone through like how many mini boss, and then finally I arrive at the like I encounter like final boss, something like this. It is considered game level here.
Uh uh I'm not sure what you
It's
meant
okay.
by
I
that.
mean, like you can answer me like how you understand, or based on the game design that you actually design it. It's okay. Like it may not be directly addressing my question, but you may answer based on the real game that you actually developed. You design. Yeah. So I mean, like, okay, to simplify my question, like, do you have the game levels in your game, like game level 1, 2, 3? I mean, like, progressively, like, going through different levels in the game.
Inside of the match, yes. So we have like a level system.
Right.
But currently we don't have like a outside of match level system, because like if we have to implement like a level system like outside the match, right? It would have to be like connected to like an maybe the shop or something like that, where or we will like they will have like a outside level system, then they will have to be connected to like maybe a merchandise, maybe something like that, but not they would not be like directly correlated to something that's in game, that is
Okay.
like in a match.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. You answered my question. All right. So okay, so your game mechanics, right? Game mechanics are like very clear, and the structure like that you explained. Um, but I'm wondering like how did you define these game mechanics? So I mean, like how did you brainstorm and like define, okay, these are the game mechanics that we are going to use, we are going to design in your game, something like this.
Are you like referring to like how we decided on what mechanic we add to our
Yeah.
game?
Yes.
Actually, we kind of
So
like take an inspiration from the game, famous game from like the genre, from each genre. Like for the roguelike, the Vampire Survivor is quite famous. So our skill card system that we use, like you can like choose card to like upgrade your status, is from the Vampire Survivor. But
Right.
Vampire Survivor is like you choose, and then it's like your weapon, or like you can choose a card and you gain a skill or weapon. But instead we like choose a card to increase the status of the player.
Right.
Yeah.
I
And the gauge system, we kind of reference from the Devil May Cry, where like you, or the Ultra Q, where you like when you attack continuously, you will gain like more gauge, right? And the rank of your gauge will level up, like
Mhm.
to motivate the player to like continuously in the fight. So
Right.
we think that is good. So we implement that system in our game too.
Okay.
I would like to kind of like add on to the skill card mechanics. The reason that we also added is to because to let the player like decide, to let them have choices, like because one of the like I would say one of the things that is like attractive in the roguelike genre is to let a player choose, and then like to see whether like to play along with their builds, like to let them experiment things out themselves. So that
Right.
is also the reason that we choose to have this skill card.
Right.
Yeah.
Actually, we first plan to have more variations of cards, but like this, but because we run out of time, so we cannot do like any more cards than this.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, thanks for your answers. Very interesting. Okay, so the next one is you may have already explained it in the proposal presentation, but can you repeat it again? Why did you choose like these two genres like together? First person shooter game and a roguelike games, right? Why these two game genres into one?
As for the reason that we decided on FPS
Right.
and roguelike, I have to admit one of the reason is because we all of us in the development team are fans of those genre ourselves, and we
Right.
would like to see things improve the way that we want, and maybe to make it for other people that enjoys similar thing to us.
Right.
And on
But
a yeah.
okay, yeah, that's great. But you are not the first group like combining these two genres, right? Do we have other literature or like existing games like where they use where they combine two genres into one? Or are you may be the first, I don't know. Yeah.
Do you mean like for this specific genre
The
or for
genres,
like
yeah, the specific genres, yeah.
for
FPS and the
FPS
like,
and
the roguelike game.
uh, uh
Yeah,
that,
I think like if you mention like FPS and roguelike, I think there's already existed game, but they are all like co-op game. So like
Right.
where players like cooperate on each other to fight a boss, but here isn't the case. So each player is compete against each other. So to answer your question, if you mean like only FPS roguelike, yes, there's already exist other game that already existed. But if you mean FPS roguelike that are competitive, I'm not sure if there's any other game, because I don't know.
Okay. Okay. So
Okay,
yeah.
let me add something. I think it's unconventional to have FPS that is roguelike. For a fun game, it's okay, I think, but for a competitive game, it's very difficult to tune the levels for
Yes.
competitiveness. So normally they do not mix these tools in competitive
Right.
environment.
Right. This is the novelty of your game, right? So this is the uniqueness that you like design that you study in the game. All right. Okay, so the other question is like, okay, you use the procedural content generation, right? So PCG. So what is the pros and cons of using this procedural content generation game? Yeah,
I would say the pros are definitely uh replayability, that the
replayability, yes.
content, yeah, the content is able to be like generated uh without the developer interference at the time of the playing. So that's mean like the games that the players are playing are almost absolutely different from each other, like from any other place, because just by the amount of shared probabilities. And yeah, so that is the reason that why it works so well with the roguelike genre. Yeah, the sheer amount of luck that need to be incorporated in the game. As
Right,
for the disadvantage, I would say it would be like one of it is balancing. It is kind of hard to balance the unknown. The randomness is pretty
right,
hard to make every place like balance and not to have like players shout at the developers that this game is too luck based. I think that
right,
is a very valid disadvantage. And another one I would say is to make it interesting, uh, to make the first like as may have like mentioned in the video, the more creativity that you would like to put in the procedural content generation, the harder
right,
it gets and the more complex it becomes. We kind of like figure that out as like we're halfway through the project, and things become a lot more harder to customize as it takes more times. But yeah, I think that's one of the disadvantage in terms of like developing it.
I see. Okay, so now about the game testing, right? The game usability test. So you mentioned about like testing with 4 participants, right? So did you do like one-on-one section or all 4 players like playing together? What is your testing design, the usability test design?
So we have for kind of like we try to put like if possible, so we have 3 of us, right? So we
Right,
try to test 2 testers at a time, but like we try to separate them. So in this case, we will have a one, for example, a one channel with like 2 how do I call it, like how is it, like the kind of, we have one tester and we have 2 like overlooking the testing. I'm not sure which word to use, something like
okay,
that. So yeah,
right,
we do something like that, and the usability test is done using, first of all, we try to use the thing alarm protocol. So we try to, okay, if you have any things that you don't like, if you have any things that you like, just say it out loud, right? We were
right,
listening, something like that. And also
okay,
like we also, when we, for example, when we try to, when the user is doing tasks, so we give them tasks for some time, for someone, for example, like a minute, right? If they made any errors, we will also be kind of like taking like a tick, or maybe like a,
yeah,
yeah, as well. We would note that down, and then we'll kind of come up with, okay, how many errors does this occur, how many average errors, something like that. And then at the end of like the task, not the at the end of the test, we would do the system usability scale score,
right,
scoring. So the 10 question, and we calculate the score to be out of 100.
right.
So we try to use the SUS because it's very easy to understand, but
Mhm.
also we have to take into account, okay, with which task, like, okay, this task has a lot of error, this task does not have a lot
Right.
of error, something like that.
Okay, okay, that's fine. But I just want to know, like, okay, one usability testing, one section, right? So how many players are playing at the same time? Just one player, or because I realize your game, the optimal one is like you can play up to like 4 players simultaneously, right? So in your usability test, how many players are playing concurrently or like simultaneously?
Only when we do the usability testing, we did not focus on like the multiplayer aspects. So we only focus on like the mechanics that we wanted to test. For example, like elemental totem. So we put like the player, just one player into the server, and just that's it. So we do not test like the multiplayer, because we think it would be too like chaotic and like very hard to make sense of.
Okay, that's fine. I can understand. But how do you think, like, if 4 players like playing concurrently, will it be impactful on the performance? How do you think?
The performance of like the test score, or like the
Oh, no,
what
the
do you want to
game performance,
Oh,
Yeah.
the game performance. So I think we have not tried like multiplayer in like the usability test, but we try it like in internal testing. We tried it with like I think 3 players, and yeah, there were times where it becomes quite laggy, but
Mhm.
I think we try to do like the kind of like a jump test. So like the one player would tell the other player to jump, and we see how much like the latency between them. And there's like almost like it's noticeable, but like very small. Like if you would see this in like a game, a very competitive game like Valorant, it would be like pretty normal. So I think from in terms of latency, there's no problem. But are some times when there are like bullets flying across the screen, for example, then
Right.
that could cause some lag. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I noticed, like, I observed one issue. So playability score is like 42.5, right? So yeah, so okay, that can be an issue, but I mean, it's okay. It's just kind of like the very early stage, like, understandable. But how will you fix this one in the future?
Okay, so we have like a lot of feedback from the user. I think it's like one of the most constructive usability tests that we have seen. Uh, Maybe is the slide still up? I don't think it is. But
It's
okay.
okay, yeah, no
Uh,
worries. You can verbally explain it. Yeah.
so yeah, one of the things that the player actually come back to us is that there is no like feedback. The feedback is very important. So like for example, you shoot someone like maybe in the chest or maybe in the leg, there should be at least a sound or some visual cue, right? But the problem with it is that we don't have one, because it's like very early. We don't really have time to implement that. So uh yeah, I think that the two of the most important thing that I think were given from the usability test in the gameplay aspects is that feedback and like a guidance. So feedback is like, oh, we shoot someone, there should be some feedback, some sound, something back, right? But like there's none. And in the other case is guidance. So like if you actually see on the screen right now, there's no any guidance on, okay, how should I move? How should I actually shoot or something like that? So there's also no guidance on that. And other concerns that were given from the tester is the pause menu as well. There is no pause menu on the screen, and also the minimap. Usually, in many of the games that have a minimap like this, the minimap can be clicked, or at least like kind of scale out into like on the screen, but there is none like that as well. And also like a status display, the dash status is not displayed. So yeah, it's usually this kind of feedback and guidance that is usually missing and make the player a little bit harder to play. So that's why I think the score is low.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, sure. Okay, so I have like 2 more. It's like, okay, second last. Do you have any age restriction? Like, what is the minimum age to play the game, or anyone can play? I don't know, like, you.
In
Because
my opinion,
I can see some level of violence in the game itself, a lot of distraction, right? So I'm not sure how young can they play, like, the game.
uh For this, I would like to compare it to I'm not sure at this point, so I would like to compare it to the other game. I think Ultra Kill would be like a great comparison. Ultra Kill has like a lot of blood, and I think that thing is like 17 plus. And
Right.
so our game I think at least would be 17 plus, but I don't think it would probably be 13. But if I would be safe, it would be 17 plus.
Okay. Yeah, maybe 13, maybe like some kind of, after reviewing thoroughly, carefully, then 13 plus may play as well. Okay, my last question. How will you convert this game into a business model or revenue model in the future?
So about the revenue model, I think uh the uh the things that we have, I think in the pre-project presentation is that we would kind of sell characters. I think I'm not sure. Is it somewhere in this presentation? I'm not sure. But I think one of the things that we try to sell is that we try to sell cosmetics and skins. In this case, one of the features that is missing is the characters, right? So we try to sell more characters, and then we try to sell skins and cosmetics after that.
Right. Yeah, this makes sense. Okay. These are all my questions and are very impressive. And thank you so much for your good presentation. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, this time, well, I think the shadows are nice, but I think it makes your game slow
Uh,
because shadow changes all the time, but it doesn't affect the gameplay.
I think from my testing, the effects on applying shadow to the game using URP in Unity
Is
is
it all right?
almost it's almost negligible in midware PC and above. And
Yeah, but still, well, I I think I should suggest that there should be, if you are to tune your game for lower specs PC as well, maybe you should do a mode where the shadows doesn't change or things like that.
oh, I see. Oh yeah, I think that is a very good suggestion. Maybe we could like add into like the setting to like for setting to have the range of like graphic settings so that lower end PC can also play it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a very good suggestion.
And one more thing, you tell us that when there are many bullets flying around, then the game kind of slow down. So maybe in the testing, you should balance the game to make sure that there are not exceeding number of bullets in a room. All right, maybe you can tune the speed of bullets, and also tune how many bullets can be fired from each enemy at a time. I think it will help. I think you have tuned it, but it's probably not well enough.
Yeah, I think that is also a valid point, especially in like the games that require networking. So we would like to lower the stress of the network. I think that is a
Yeah.
very valid point.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
I think I found like very, very late in like a project that I think one of the things that you should not do is use network transform, which kind of like tracks the position of the bullet for every clients, which I don't think is a great idea. But I think many of the games that actually uses network actually just fakes bullet, kind of like they spawn it and they don't use network transform to actually sync the position. They just spawn it and just let it fly on their own clients. So
Yeah,
that
and
I think
then
overhead is gone.
they just trigger when it hits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. Two more things. I think we would like you to show the procedural content generation in its working. Maybe generate the map for for us teachers to see?
Is it possible for me to change the version of it a little bit, because this version is kind of like a little bit hurried, so that everything is pushed to make it work, so it cannot generate room by rooms. But I know that there are previous version that can do that.
Uh-huh.
I think I can just quickly go here and
Hang on. But this new version has the item, the equipment working, right? I want to see the equipment when you use equipment and equip unequip as well. So show that to me as well.
okay. I think that is also gonna be in the previous
Okay.
in the previous version, because we also kind of push it also.
Uh-huh.
While I'm opening the PCG part, can you get the version where the drop and pick up item working? And let me try to find it. I think it's around, because by the time that I have to sync it with networking, it's kind of make the a more simpler part kind of like unusable. So I need to choose between networking and simplify it. And I think it's right around, no, that's it. No setup take. Uh, it should be around this one. Unity doesn't take too long. The git is quite fast, but especially on my computer. But I think it's not gonna take too long. So okay, we'll just while that is going on, if anyone got any question, feel free to, yeah.
Okay, seems like it's almost done.
Yeah. Oh, okay. There's hope. If I didn't select the wrong version, that is. Um,
You know, if one of you have the equipped system, then you can show it to me first while this is still loading. No?
Yes. Wait. Let me James, I can share the
oh,
screen.
sorry.
Okay. Okay, I've shared a screen. Can you see it?
Yeah.
So it's the equip that you mentioned is like dropping and picking the weapon, right? And then
choosing and selecting the weapon, and also with
so
the
you can
totem.
like change the way, switch between the weapon and shoot.
Slow down.
Yes.
It's slow on zoom.
Oh,
So
okay. Oh, okay. So my logic is that like if you press drop if you press drop, if you drop the weapon that you are currently holding, like right now, if you I'm holding your shotgun. So if I press drop, if you drop the shotgun, and then the the weapon from the last slot will replace. And actually, if you have if you have 3 weapons and then we want to pick more, if you drop the current weapon to pick up the another one, but right now I can't spawn the gun, so I don't know how to show you. And now you can infuse the gun with I will increase my water shard and press F. So like my bullet will change to the blue color because I infuse my shotgun with water element. I don't know if you can see the bullet color.
I can't.
Maybe I can like change to when I will use assault rifle instead. Yeah, I will, there's a water element bullet. I'm not sure if you can see it though.
Yeah, kind of. Kind of a bit blue bullet.
Yeah, I'm not sure why. Like when if you share the screen to the others, it kind of like doesn't show the trail of the bullet, but I clearly see it. I'm not sure why.
It has frame loss.
Maybe
it's frame loss. I think
maybe
it's because of zoom.
Okay.
Okay, one more thing that you can try with the effect is that you can try producing the effect of color where the bullet hits.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah, that will make it a bit more obvious. And for the player, it makes it more casual if you want, but it depends whether you want it to be more casual.
Actually, I actually have that in the list of the things to do, but like I don't have time to do that, so I didn't do that. Like the visual effect when the bullet hits the target.
It doesn't need it unless you want the elemental effect to be visible to other people who are playing multiplayer with you. Okay, so that's the equip system. Okay. Well, is the room generation ready to be seen?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So okay. If there's like any lacking, let me know. But I don't think this one gonna take much computing or internet. Oh, I hope so. So this is the room generation. It's everything is packed inside single script for generating, not for metadata. But so for this one, I can select like many preset that I have created, like set of each room. Like for this one, it's Ramayana one. And if I decided to add, it just add something like this and add connect. Oh, this version is still the buggy one, isn't it? Maybe this isn't the right want to show.
They look the same.
I think this is the bugged one.
I did
think-
see the version where you have many rooms, right? I did see that.
I think if I try this one, oh, this is the old one, isn't it? Let me update it a little bit. Like things a lot of things become obsolete really fast when when the project is going on, so I don't have time to update it, but I think this should be enough to make it work. So if I just go back to here, the room set is 2, this one is also platform number 2, and that should be enough to make it generate. Okay, yeah. Now this one is the smaller scale. Every room is set to like one small platform. It's the first experiment that I try because it's the simplest one. So I can generate in batch, like I can generate 100 of this at a time, and I don't think it's gonna have any problem. With no problem at all. Everything can be generated quite perfectly. If I remove the gizmos, you can see that everything is kind of like connected in a platform quite nicely. Is there anything else I can show? I think I can show this one. This one is the one I try to replicate the train station. It contains, I think, only 3 different rooms. The small one, the long one, and the high and the tall one. You can see like sometimes things are getting clipped out of distance. That is the no, I have no idea how to call it, a field of view. But everything is working quite nicely now. At this point, I think the Ramayana set only have, oh, it have 2. So why isn't that working? It has 2. I think that should.
Yeah, try it, and zoom out.
Okay, here it is. That's unlucky. That's even worse. Okay. So like this, that the previous one got dead end because they got a lot of this single endpoint. So after all part is covered, nothing can be spawned anymore. But I think this one should be fine. This one, for this version, it only have like 2 variation for this one, but I can add infinitely more of the variation. Yeah, but that's about it.
Okay. Right. Okay. Well, any other questions, Professor? Oh, Professor Ong Pe.
Oh,
He's
he
cut out.
no,
Say that
he sent a
he
chat
like have
message.
What?
yeah he have another presentation
Oh,
to
really?
attend.
Oh,
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I just have one question since this is the end of term. I just would like to see the overall picture. Can you just list your objective from the proposal and tell me which one is fully met, which one is partially met, and which one is not achieved from your project?
let me check if we have.
Okay.